back to Big Little Lessons. I'm Kristine.
And I'm Jenny. We're so glad you're here with us today.
We want to start with a question.
What if understanding who we are begins with the courage to see through someone else's eyes?
That idea is at the heart of today's conversation.
Today, we're talking about identity, how it's formed, how it evolves, and how it's shaped by family, community, faith, and lived experience.
And today, we are so honored to welcome a friend, a colleague, and someone we deeply admire, Dr. Toya Holiday.
Dr. Holiday is currently the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice, but that title only begins to capture who she is and the work she's done.
Toya brings nearly 4 decades of experience in education, leadership, and youth development, serving in both private and public schools in the Los Angeles area, as well as schools across the country.
At the heart of her work is a deep commitment to adolescence and a profound understanding of identity development, social emotional learning, and what it truly takes to build equity-centered school communities.
Throughout Toya's career, she has worn many hats. She's been middle school teacher, 9th grade dean, elementary athletic director, high school athletic co-director, and head of varsity girls basketball.
She currently serves as K-12 DEIJ leader, and her work is grounded not just in research and theory, but in lived experience and real relationships with young people.
Not only that, Dr. Holiday holds a Doctor of Education and brings both scholarly insight and deep wisdom to everything she does.
And she's also a former collegiate and professional basketball player and the proud mom of 4 collegiate and professional athletes, including NBA champion and Olympic gold medalist Drew Holiday.
So you understand why we admire Dr.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Toya Holiday so much.
She's amazing.
Also, she has unwavering belief in young people. Toya, we're so grateful you're here with us today.
Yes, welcome. All right, so what we like to start with, Toya, is what's your earliest childhood memory from school? Maybe the first moment you remember. What do you remember?
Sure. Can I at least say good morning, friends?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Hello. Wow. I love that question because while I'm in my 60s, the childhood memory that I really, really always go back to is how Mrs. Starr, my kindergarten teacher, was just so kind and loving. She sung songs with me. She would hug us every day. She allowed us to just be who we wanted to be. And so I still remember Mrs. Starr, my kindergarten teacher.
As kindergarten teachers, we love that you remember your
Yes.
kindergarten
I know.
teacher. And her name, what an amazing name.
Awesome. An awesome name. I think she really wanted us all to be stars, you know?
Do you remember how the course of the day would be with her?
I remember in my day when I was in kindergarten, we had early bird and late bird. And so I was an early bird. And I just could remember, it was just so much fun. I didn't want to leave. I'm like, can I stay for the next class? It was just a place of joy, just fun. We got to explore. We'd be outside all day, you know, growing up in California. It was just great. Be on the rug singing and laughing. And so
That's really kind of the heart of, I think, kindergarten in general, is when you think about these students have so many years ahead of them, and to have that first year be so magical. That's the goal. Hook them in. Like,
is the goal.
School is a good place to be. Thank you for sharing.
So, Toya, let's start from the beginning. We'd love to know about your parents, their backgrounds, their values, and what they intentionally, like, how did you get to be you? How did they shape your earliest identity?
wow. At my age now, I am really grateful for my parents, but I can say growing up, I wasn't grateful for them at all. I thought they were weird.
How so?
They were so much different than other parents. We didn't have a lot of independence in our home. Our home was very conservative and strong structures and boundaries, where a lot of my friends growing up here in the Valley, they got to do things that I would look out the window hoping and wishing that one day I could do. So I was always thinking, gosh, my parents are just these weird people. And how come I have those parents? But I am so grateful that God gave me those parents, because not knowing that I was going to learn from my parents, I always think back now that my husband and I have raised our children because of who my parents were and are. And so I am so definitely grateful for them. I thought they were weird.
Right.
And did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, there were 6 of us, 3 boys and 3 girls. I was smack in the middle. So it was a big family. And we did everything together.
Everything.
Right.
Everything. Everything together. I went to my high school grad night. My brother drove the bus for LA Unified at the time. My mom was there. And of course, she had all of my older cousins come and be chaperone. My mom was the PTA president. And so she was the one that sorted through these parties for us. And I'm like, can I just go somewhere without you?
They were invested in.
My senior yearbook, my dad is in my yearbook more than I am.
No.
Yes.
So
He came to, my mom and dad came to every game or whatever, but for some reason, my dad is in that yearbook. You can see him in the stands in this one little spot. I'm like, okay, how did you get to be in the yearbook more than me? So we were always together.
And did everyone play sports?
My mom swam and she played tennis. My dad played football. And so our family was a football family before we became a basketball family. I just want everybody to know this.
That's interesting.
Went to college excited, not because I get to learn, but because I get to go to football games. I wanted to paint my face and shout and scream and all of that because
So
we're a football family.
football was number one.
Yes.
So after raising your kids, as you continue to still, we're always raising our
Yes.
kids, even when they're grown.
Yes.
Do you feel like there's a lot of things that you do that your parents, I mean, I think we're all different than our parents. We take what we loved from our parents and try to be better. But it sounds like your parents were pretty awesome. Do you feel like you parent similarly to the way your parents parented?
I think there's some things that Sean and I have, Sean's my husband, that we've incorporated, excuse me, into our parenting. One, keeping our family together. It's okay that we can stay in the same house. I have 4 children and 10 grandchildren.
Congratulations.
We can all just kind of stay together. We don't care. We go on vacations together. We go to church together. We're in the backyard together all day. We see each other all the time. So I love that about my parents. Sean's family, I guess they were together a lot too, but it was just a different structure. I didn't realize that my parents taught us to really think about what effort we're putting into things and how come we're doing that. My parents also taught me, especially my dad, we would talk all the time just about current events and how we feel being maybe here in Los Angeles, and this is what's happening in the current event. So what do you feel like? And how can you change some things? And they always taught us to be social justice warriors.
Okay.
Like I can remember one night, late at night, someone came to our door, knocking on the door. We're like, what's going on? We go to the door. My dad opens the door. This woman was pregnant. And my mom's at the door. And of course, I'm poking around the corner like, okay, who's at our door this late? And my mom is like, oh, no, sweetheart, come on in. Come on in. We're going to feed you. You come in. And I remember, and I'm thinking, what the heck? I told you my parents are weird. Like, what are you doing? And so my parents used to do things like that all the time. All of the time. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. But not realizing that that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
God tells us to take care of each other. And so
So great.
What a great
learned a lot.
example.
Yeah, that just came in my head. I just remembered that.
It's a good memory.
Yeah, it's a great memory.
Yeah.
It's a great memory.
Knowing you now, I see these little nuggets of how you were building your identity and,
Yes.
and the work you do. So that's
True.
how we're going to keep building this.
Yes.
So when you think about your elementary years, the friends, your teachers, the environments you were part of, what stands out to you?
Boy, in elementary was hard for me. Now that I really think back, I went to a predominantly white school, and it was hard in a way that I didn't have the words to say, boy, something just feels off and it's different. I just didn't know. And I wasn't lonely in elementary, but I knew I was different. Teachers would say things and I'm like, oh, well, that's not what my parents told me. You know, especially when it came to history. The one thing that my parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, they taught me my Black history. They taught me American history. I come from a military family. A lot of people don't know that either. And they taught us our history. Didn't realize they were teaching me my history so that I could love who I am. And so in elementary, that was hard hearing some things. And you're like, what? No, but we did this.
History. It was
completely different. However, I loved school. I loved school. And there were always one or two teachers. And I remember my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Horowitz, dear man, loved them to death. We could be whoever we wanted to be in that classroom. And he made learning fun. And I remember him. I just loved him as an educator. Like I wanted to be like Mr. Horowitz. And I have to tell you this, years later, I was already at Campbell Hall. Aaron was in 6th grade. And he came home and he says, oh, this is my teacher, my history teacher, Mr. Horowitz. I said, oh, that's so funny. I had a teacher named Mr. Horowitz. And matter of fact, Mr. Horowitz became Dr. Horowitz. I thought, gosh, I had this wonderful teacher that I loved. I went to back to school night and it was my Mr. Horowitz.
No.
Yes. Aaron had my Mr. Horowitz.
No.
And I just thought, oh, how I love you. Thank you. Oh. You don't know this, but I'm an educator, probably because of you.
Wow.
And so, wasn't that awesome?
That's such a small world.
A small world.
Oh, that's
small world.
awesome. Yeah.
Small world.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I loved school. I really did. Going into middle school was junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th for me. LA Unified. I started in LA Unified. And I had this librarian that was an advocate for me. I loved to read. And so I was able to, when things were hard, because I was very young in junior high, I would go and sit in there with her after school, waiting for my mom or dad to come pick me up, read books with her. And she was just so loving. And so anytime that things got kind of crazy, I would head to the library.
That's amazing. I mean, librarians are so special. And those ones that really connect with people, they're a gem, sure. Is there a school moment, a teacher, a challenge, or a moment of belonging that stayed with you?
There's just a lot of moments. I was talking about junior high, and I'm not sure if it was about belonging. I thought I belonged at this junior high. I went to school, public school here in the Valley. And LA Unified came up with this idea of volunteering busing, which was different from mandatory busing. So I'm older than some people that had to go through the mandatory busing, but voluntary busing. And what they were doing is they were allowing students from Los Angeles and the city to come over to our schools to, go to school. And I was so excited about that because being one of the only Blacks in school, other than your brother or your cousin, it's just so hard. And so when that started, I was so excited. I was like, yay. And so when that started, I'm not sure. I thought I belonged, but I learned that I really didn't belong there at that school at that time because all of a sudden, parents got crazy. How are you sending these Black kids to our neighborhood? All I remember is walking into school and they had all these news vans out there and parents shouting and picketing. And I remember one day we walked out. Once we come into school, we'd all go and meet out by the field. And on the fence, somebody had put up the N-word, go home. Wow. And I'm like, what? I mean, it was just crazy. And then from there, kids were scared and terrified. And I remember them saying to us, do not go to the restroom by yourself. So of course, I'm like, oh, what does that mean? It just became really crazy. But by 9th grade, because 9th grade, we all decided as a class, like, hey, you guys, why can't we just all be friends? We're going to be friends and things like that.
Nice.
Which was great. So that when we went to high school, we were still all dear friends. And even into college and now.
Despite the parents.
The adults.
Yeah,
yes.
despite the adults.
The adults. And the funny thing about it, I look back and I think about the teachers. I think the teachers were terrified and scared now that I look back, but they didn't make it easy for us. They were just sort of, you sit down and be quiet. It was just really weird. It was a weird.
So you noticed a visible shift.
Yes.
And so, because you started at the school in elementary and kindergarten, and then you saw this shift in 7th grade when
when they started in 7th grade when they started.
Were there that you knew that you?
Yes, that's the thing. They were my friends. But I was okay because they said I was different.
Did you bring these concerns to your family?
Yes, and we talked about it all the time. And as Black family at that time, we talked about, well, my parents were always this way. Okay, what are some things that you can do in school if something happens, or giving you that instruction? A lot of us were still terrified. Okay. We were like, what is going on? This is weird.
That's a terrible place to be when you're nervous
Yes.
about going to the bathroom. For
Yes.
instance.
And your child.
Yes. They're just crazy. Or even just sitting in class wondering, is someone going to say something crazy, with the teacher? Are they going to back us up? Are they going to be supportive to me, But it turned out to be the best thing LA Unified did.
Yes.
I still have so many friends from the Valley, from LA, it was just awesome.
But anything new takes time. So
it does.
It was the beginning. And
it does.
You had to experience that.
And your cousins they're from LA. Did they do the busing out to the
They did not.
Valley?
My cousins went to private schools.
Okay.
We didn't go to private schools.
Okay. So
My cousins went to private schools.
Okay. So you saw them at the holidays.
Yeah. We saw each other, but no.
Okay.
So growing up in the Valley, can you paint a picture of that time, like your neighborhood, your cultural surroundings, and your experience? Well, you talked about volunteer busing in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Pacoima, and a lot of people don't know this. I grew up in Pacoima, and so my neighborhood was predominantly Black and brown families. And the majority of our families all had two parents, had a bunch of kids. We played in the street, rode our bikes until the street lights came on, just had a good time. We did everything together. However, my mom and dad, they were a little different, where I started off in a predominantly Black church, but by 6th grade, we had transferred to a predominantly white church. Okay. And that was different also. And my parents explained it to us because they just really wanted we're going to try this church because we really want to go to a Bible. Just not that all churches aren't using the Bible, but we really want to be in this Bible centered, and we just want to do something different. And so we did, and which was great because my parents always put us in situations where it wasn't just all Black people or all brown people. It was just a mixture of everyone. I mean, I've always been around, all of my mom's friends were white, Asian, whatever, and so that was awesome. I'm glad my parents did that because that's how I raised my kids. I wanted our kids to be around just a plethora of people, just whomever from all walks of life. And so,
yeah, why is that so important to you, to build out and know so many different backgrounds, whether it's in faith or in culture? Why is it important to you?
Well, this is the one thing that I've learned is that we learn so much from each other. And then when you're with a person that's from a different culture or faith, you can see similarities, but the differences are really good. You learn like, wow. I used to go to a friend's house. I'm like, that's what you're eating? In our home, we didn't drink soda. And so going to...
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
It's awesome. You're going to love it.
I am
I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
If you're shopping while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast, then you know and love the thrill of the hunt. But are you getting the thrill of the best deals? Rakuten shoppers do. They get the brands they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores and even stack sales on top of cash back. It's easy to use and you get your cash back through PayPal or check. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten.
Thanks, Ashley, for being here. You are
Like, say, one of my white friends' homes, I was like, oh, what's wrong with my parents? How come they don't know this bubbly stuff is awesome?
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you just learn so many different things.
Yes.
And I think that's what has helped who I've become. I read somewhere, Zaretta Hammond said that when you're teaching culture and history and all that, what happens with your brain grows in a certain way. And so then your thinking is really complex. So when you're meeting other cultures and other people, you're growing and you now have places you can pull from, information you can pull from, because I'm not just stuck
Yes.
in this is who we are. We're only in this box.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, and I really do believe that God has made us relational,
Yes.
and to learn about someone else and to eat someone else's food, you know, it's just amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know faith is very important to you
Yes.
and your life. How has faith shaped your perspective, your resilience, and leadership?
Boy, that's a great question. I hope faith has shaped who I am today, especially in leadership, where I'm treating every person as though they're important. I just believe human life is important. That is special. Human life, no matter who, it doesn't matter who you are, you're special. And I'm hoping through my faith that I've learned that, as God says, we're supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. I'm hoping that that's what I'm doing. And especially with children, we're teaching children to love each other. I always think about when God says, love the person as yourself or love one another. He's not saying, oh, love one another, but if they're this, don't. That's not what it says. He says, love one another. And so I'm supposed to show love. So I'm hoping through leadership and through my life and even parenting and grandparenting, that that's what we're showing, that love is important, but human life is centered and it's important.
I agree.
So we're going to talk about your wisdom, and we're going to break it down into personal, yourself, and then your family, spreading it out through the community. So let's start with self-identity. So finding your voice over time. We're all roughly the same age, and I think no matter who you are and where you come from, that's a journey for everyone.
Yes.
So how did that happen for you?
Yeah, that was hard for me. I grew up knowing in my family that I was important, that I was beautiful. But then when I walked out the door, it was something completely different, especially when you're in school and you're one of the only person that looked like you. We went to camps, and then the narrative you see in magazines or on TVs actually said, Toya, you're not beautiful. You're not worthy. And so I struggled, especially in middle school. From elementary, you start hearing like, oh, maybe they know more than what my parents or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles are talking about, you know? And I could remember that I didn't want my hair when we went swimming. I love swimming. I love sitting out by the pool, that my hair would just all of a sudden just poof out. I wanted to be like my white friend, that her hair still, you know, get out the pool and it's still straight and long. I start just second guessing what I look like. And I'm taller than everyone. My skin, dark skin. And so then it just mentally worked with me. I mean, just messed me up in some instances. But praise God that I had family around and I had people around saying the opposite.
Right.
And so it took me a while to get through. I can remember my senior year in high school, and I guess that's the time you're supposed to think you're all that in a bag of chips. It finally kind of clicked like, hey, why don't you try to be okay with yourself? But it took a while to get through. Who are you? What do you want to believe? What are your values? There was a lot of self-reflection. Am I really worthy? Am I enough? And so that was hard. I think all kids go through that anyway. But to add that extra layer of of being Black in the Valley at the time that I grew up, that was hard too.
Yes.
Really hard. So it took a while. Like, now I'm in my 60s. I'm like, whatever. Love myself, love everybody. I don't care. But it took a while.
I think you're absolutely right. We all struggle with that. And if you start the comparison game, that's just the worst because we can always see the best in somebody else and the worst in ourselves.
Yes.
So clarifying your values, how did those values guide your decisions? Like by the time you were a senior, you're like,
yeah. You know what? I have to say this. And my family, they were very intentional about our values and what our family believed. I didn't want to believe what our family believed. I didn't want their values. I didn't.
That's pretty normal for a teenager.
I didn't want their values. I'm so glad that my parents and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and cousins, they stuck with it. They were consistent with those values. Okay. Because when you start getting into those hard decisions of, am I doing drugs like everyone else? Am I going to sit around and smoke like everyone else? Am I going to do other things that other people are doing? When you come up against that, believe it or not, what happens, and I'm so grateful that what I heard were my parents' voices or my grandparents' voices. Did I make mistakes? Yes, because I was like, I don't want to hear your voice. I'm doing this anyway. I remember ditching. Ooh. One day in high school, and I ditched with a good friend that lived across the street from me. We went to Kennedy High School in Granada Hills, but the place to be was San Fernando High.
Oh,
because they had the cute guys. Oh, that's what we thought, Okay. And so we ditched. I don't even remember how we got to San Fernando High School. And we got caught. There were some people there, and then they got us back. And I remember, like, why did I do that? I don't know, but that was did I get in trouble? Yes, I got in trouble. I can't remember the.
Yeah, we didn't have the research that your frontal lobes weren't connected yet.
And so then I had to start making better choices. I remember my high school coach was like, hey, you're a leader, and a leader, you got to start making some better choices. And so I did have people in my life saying, okay, that was a dumb move. Yeah. That was dumb, but hey, we're going to help you. You got to start making better choices.
You had excellent role models.
I did.
And you learned from your mistakes.
Well,
yeah. Sometimes it's painful.
Sometimes very painful. Yes.
How do you stay curious about yourself? You're such a learner. And how do you do that?
Boy, that's a good question. I was raised that education is important. My people would be killed if they knew how to read or had education. And so just knowing my history, parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and every family reunion you went to, you learned your history. And that is just something that was really important for us is education.
Yes.
They cannot take that from you. And education is so important. And also, I do believe our faith, reading that Bible and knowing that Bible, I always think about in Proverbs. A lot of times I read things, I'm like, I don't know what that means. But it always talked about wisdom. And that's what we want to strive for is that wisdom, not silver and gold, not money and all that, but the wisdom, that knowledge. And so that's just something that I'm just like, nope, I have to keep learning. And I know, I'm just sort of honest with myself. There's a lot I don't know, and there's a lot I want to know. Yes. I always want to be in the know. So, but you can't be in the know if you're not working on that, if you're not pushing yourself forward.
Do you find things kind of come to you? Like, I'm just curious about this, and then that's where you start your learning, or curious how, what made you decide just a few years ago, like, I'm getting my PhD?
Well, I've always wanted to have a doctorate, and that was just on the bucket list. And so that was just something that I'm like, hey, I got to start checking off this bucket list and taking care of myself. I love people. I love talking to people and getting to know them. And so that's where my curiosity comes in. And I'm like, I have to look that up. That sounds great. You did what? I'm going to do that. Getting to know other people and how they were raised and the things that they're doing. I'm like, wow, I didn't know.
That's amazing.
I think getting to know people.
That's great. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And your family plays such a big role. I mean, your parents and hearing that part, but then you as a parent, how long have you been married? Tell us about your four amazing children.
Yes.
Hey, I've been married to this amazing man, Sean, it'll be 39 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Of course, I thought it was 40, and I said that to him, and he's like, you know what? To be a math teacher, you really have a problem with numbers. I'm like, okay, as long as you know, that's good.
You just know it was a long time.
Yeah. And so 39 years, I can't believe it. It goes by really fast.
Incredible.
Yes, and grateful for that God gave us these 4 children. Now, today, I can say they're amazing. That was a journey. Parenting is a journey. And when we think about the things you don't know, I didn't know anything about children. I babysat maybe my next door neighbor's child twice, 3 times, but I had everybody in our home helping me with it. So I didn't know anything about children. Where my husband grew up with his nieces and nephews. And so he knew a lot more than I did. And so when I don't know something, I'm that type that, hey, let's go ask someone.
Yes.
Or let's read a book. I love books. So let's just read about how to parent. Well, there are many days I threw those books out because it just didn't help.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a whole new ball game. And just when you think you have one stage down, it all changes.
Oh,
and then you're
completely.
like, well, this is brand new.
Yeah.
So,
And even though, we have similarities with our kids, each one is,
completely
it's giving you
different.
a whole new gift.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, what are we doing now?
Yes.
Okay, this is what we're doing.
so now you're all 4 of your children are adults. They're
Parents.
Are they all parents now?
They're all parents.
So how many grandchildren do you have?
We have 10.
Congratulations.
Grandchildren. Thank you. We're so excited. I think our oldest is 9 and our youngest we have our younger 2 are 1 year old. And so
beautiful.
That's amazing. Everyone always tells us that, being a grandparent is
it's
best.
amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's just, and our first grandchild, she's a whippersnapper. I'm telling you, she's taught us how to be some grandparents.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, she is just amazing. And she is sort of the captain. I'm always like, okay, command your troops, honey, command your troops. Oh yeah, when we get together, she's trying to wrangle everybody. Command your troops. Yes.
I love that. Now, what's your grandparent name?
TT.
Oh, that's a good question.
And your husband?
Pop. TT and Pop.
So
yeah,
cute.
I wanted to be sweet tea because I drink tea every morning. And, moving to Louisiana for about 5 years, I thought I was Southern. And so I wanted to be sweet tea. But my godson, that's almost 40 years old, is the one that gave me that name because he couldn't say Toya. So he'd always call me TT. So I just said, why don't we just keep TT?
I love that. One of the things I admire about you is your perspective on your children and what they're up to. I would love for you to talk about it because there's not very many parents that can say, I have 4 elite athletes, 3 are currently in the NBA. So how do you keep that perspective, that humbleness with your family?
Well, can I say this? Now, as of today, I have 2 in the NBA and then one's in China playing ball. My oldest is in China playing ball. But basketball was something that they could do. That wasn't important for us. What was important for us in our home was what their heart was like. And just really thinking about how you can be the best person that you can be. And that means not being the best person for you, but to help others. And so that's what we really tried to teach our children, is that this is what God said he wants us to do, and this is what we want to do. I hope my kids realize that when we're with other people and we're helping other people, that's where the fun stuff, that's where I hope we see love and our heart is filled. So basketball, is it awesome that my kids are millionaires? Yeah, we have money and money is important and things like that. But I love that my kids are good people, that they love other people. Mm-hmm. That's the part that I love. Love that they're raising my grandchildren into thinking that money that's not where we want to go. We want to go to this love of others.
Yes.
Money isn't that big of a deal.
Yes.
It is a big deal. I don't want people to think it's not. It is a big deal, but that's not our center at all. And
That's not the goal.
You're looking at the bigger picture, which is there's a perspective. The sports is a season in your life and it's going to go and there's going to be other things. And we all have trials and tribulations, but building the interior character, that's what I get from you every time I talk to you, which
Completely.
I love.
Well, thank you. I like the way you put that.
Also we teach young children and we engage in conversations with parents all the time. There's always kids that are playing sports. I mean, a really big increase in kids playing club sport and the intensity of the parents and their drive for their kids. It's so intense. And we didn't know you through that. So you just seem so cool, calm, and collected through all of it. But it must have been very challenging from what that did or how that helped your children, athletics with discipline, with character, with resilience, it does play a huge piece.
Oh, yes. Yes. As ninth grade dean, I was ninth grade dean for 17 years. Sometimes we just have to let our children fail and not always save our children. I learned that to behave in a certain way or to be the person that you really want them to be. Well, I knew that my husband and I had to act that way also. Let's show them through example and not just say it, but what they see is that I'm actually standing up cussing everyone out or I'm actually slashing the referee's tires or whatever. Like, let's really have our kids learn to work through. You're going to go through some things, but how can you work through that and leave people that you're in relationship with their dignity? Yes. How do you do that? Was it hard as a parent to be in the stands and listen to people around you say bad things about your children?
Oh,
one of the hardest things in the world, to not just turn around and curse everyone out or whatever. And then as I tell my kids all the time, that our approval comes from God. And then if I'm always talking about God, I'm going to pray for you and all that, but then yet you see me turn around and just act crazy. So guess what? Nobody really wants to know your God.
Yes.
And so that's hard. I always keep that in mind that, do I make mistakes sometimes? Yes. Have my mouth said some things? Yes. Then I have to go.
You're only human.
Yes. And so then I have to take that accountability and go back and say, look, I'm sorry. But I wanted our children to learn how to be in relationships and what do you call those, great relationships with other people? I wanted them to know how to do that and how to do that when it's hard.
It's easy when everyone's cheering you on, like, good job. But when it's really
tough, when you walk into places and people are calling you ugly names and spitting on you and things like that. And plus, we had to teach our children, especially, raising Black boys in America, it is hard. And people are like, oh, no, whatever. Okay. I had to teach my children to raise them so that they would stay alive.
Yes.
And so how do you teach your child as they're starting to drive that when you get pulled over, this is what you have to do.
Right.
You have to be able to calm that heart. And calm yourself and not be angry because I need you to come home that day.
Yes. That's real.
You know what I mean? And
that's real.
And people will be like, oh, it wasn't. Yeah, okay,
no,
sure.
That's real.
And so you have to teach your children that. And so that just, when you're talking about in athletics, teaching them the same thing. How do we keep you? If this is your dream, how do we keep you so that you can continue with your dream? Wow.
You mentioned when we were talking a couple of days ago, I loved what you were talking about. I was very intentional in my parenting.
Yes.
Can you talk about that, maintaining your identity while raising your children?
I think all parents should really be intentional with parenting because it's one of the hardest things we're going to have to do, but it's one of the most important things you're going to do in your life. And so you have to be, when we're looking at something that's very important, we all try to be intentional what our next steps are so that we can make sure that we can hit that goal. And so raising kids for Sean and I, we wanted to be intentional. And so we sat down and talked about, I could remember there were 3 things that we really want our kids to learn. 2 of the things, we wanted our kids to be kind. We really wanted them to be kind to other people, but then also kind with their family. So we can teach them to be kind with other people, but with your siblings, with your parents, with your grandparents and things like that. And then we wanted them to have a faith. We wanted them to know Jesus Christ as their personal savior. And we were going to do whatever we could to at least introduce that to them because, it's their decision to who they will worship and follow. And so I knew that. And I can't remember the third one, but we were really intentional as parents. There are days crying. I cried a lot, parenting. And praise God that I had a husband that was like, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's ask people. We used to look at families and say, that's what we want our kids to.
Yeah.
We want our kids to be like them.
I've done that before.
Yeah and then I would go and ask that family, like, hey, can you help us? We always had someone that mentored us, and we were always mentoring someone else.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is a beautiful thing where we learned from parents that already went through the things we were going through with our children. And then we got to be mentors of people of young kids.
I think that happens. People feel like they have to be on their own little island and figure this out. But really, to be mentored and to mentor others is a beautiful building a community.
Yes. And I say use your community, because our community is who has helped us to parent. I look back where I was teaching and my children were going to school. I knew nothing about my kids getting in front of TV stations and things, like people interviewing them. And there was this woman at the school that came to me and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We see it's getting crazy around here. Gym is all packed out. And we don't want your sons to say something because they're young, just kind of say something. So we want to do some training with them. I'm like,
some coaching.
I was like, really? Oh, that's great. And one thing that we'll always do here at this school is we'll always have an adult before they talk to anyone. We'll be right there with them. If it's not you and your husband, it'll be someone here at our school.
Nice.
And I remember saying, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Because I'm not thinking that as parents. I'm thinking like, okay, we got to go. This game is done at 9:00. We still have to eat dinner.
Yeah.
They have homework. This is what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking, talking to reporters.
And you don't know how things can get construed or blown up out of proportion, out of context.
Was not thinking that. And praise God that we had someone that had that insight. These are things we're going to teach them.
It's like when they coined that phrase, it takes a village. I lived by that. I was a single mom, so I lived by it takes a village. Yeah. Give me my village, people. Give it to me. We loved hearing about your parents and the structure, even though you thought they were weird. They were pretty awesome around family traditions and values and the rhythms that grounded you. Like what about yours? Did you make new ones for your own family?
I think we did. I know we did. We used to have family night on Wednesday nights. I'm sorry, not Wednesday nights, because you're in church.
I was like, why Wednesday?
Not Wednesday. It's Sunday. It was Sunday night. I don't know where Wednesday. Who knows what we were doing on Wednesday? But on Sunday nights.
Basketball practice.
Yeah, probably. Sunday nights, we used to have family night. Like, I can remember my son Drew was always like game night. And then my other Justin wanted to do something completely different. He had us outside doing crazy stuff. But what we really did is we took a devotional. We had a pastor in Louisiana that made this family devotional. And in this devotional, there'd be like maybe 100 different aspects of life, such as let's talk about lying. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about friendship. And so we would pick one of those aspects and then we'd read about it. And then there would be Bible verses just supporting that. But then it'd be a little story. And then there were questions. And the kids love answering those questions like, well, in the story, Johnny said this and da-da-da-da. What could he have done differently? So we always did that. And then right after that, there was always a Bible verse we would learn for the week. And we always talk about applying that Bible verse, applying it to your life. How can you use that Bible verse this week? And then we'd say, okay, you guys, since we're all praying, and we pray at different times, let's pray for each other. And so we would leave our prayer list on our table. And we'd leave it there. So like during the week, if you forget, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to pray for, you can always go back. And so we'd always ask each of them, hey, what can I pray for you this week? And depending on, because we had different ages, some would be like, oh, that I would have fun at school today, or things like that. But then as they got older, it became some serious stuff, like praying that, hey, this week is a rough week. I have 3 tests and we have 3 road games, and that when I get to school, that I use that time, my free time, to study.
Yes.
And a lot of them praying about their heart. And so we did a lot of talking on those Sunday nights and about a lot of things. We asked our kids about, I guess I was like my parents, we didn't want our children to date until they were 16.
Right.
And we explained to them that maybe by then we think that you are old enough so that you don't hurt someone else, or that you don't be hurt by it. Now, did our kids like that? No, they didn't want. What do you mean 16? My kids my friends got boyfriend and girlfriends when they're 9, And I'm like, yeah, but let's talk about that. And so we did a lot of that talking also on, these are our values and this is what we stand for. You might not like them, but let's talk about that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And then you stayed true to them.
Yes.
Right?
We really tried.
That wasn't easy.
No, of course not. Of course not. Definitely not. And so we did that. I remember that stayed, that family night stayed. And then when our kids start traveling, whoever we were with, we tried to, bring that back in. And so a lot of times my husband and I were split because Justin and Drew are a year apart. And so one was on one travel team, the other was on a different travel team. The years that they were on travel teams together, it was wonderful. It was beautiful. But there were growing up, they were on different travel teams. And so we would split. And so I would go with Justin and his travel team in Pasadena. And so a lot of the families couldn't travel. So I was like, well, Mom, guess what? It's family night. Yeah. This is what we're doing. Talking to kids about values and things like that. I was like, he's getting it. You guys are getting it also.
I love it.
Yeah, and they want to be with adults that see them.
Yes.
That's the one thing I've learned in my life that through my experience, I wanted to be with adults that saw who I was and that loved me. Yeah. And that's what kids wanted. Adults want to be with you if you love them. And
I think that's so neat that you did that on the road with
Oh, yeah.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Keep it going. That's so grounding. It grounds your own children and their friends.
And education was really important. So if we flew somewhere and there was a university around, I always took them. Like, let's go, everybody. Like, let's go. No, you're going to look at this because you might not have the time to look and to fly back here and see this university when you're making decisions of where you go. Guess what? We're here. Let's look at it.
Two birds with one stone.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
You mentioned a couple of times you made mistakes. We all do.
All the time.
I know. We all do. So I'm sure your children had times when they didn't make the best choice. Mm-hmm. And when that would happen, the 1 or 2 times, how did you respond?
That's so
of course,
sweet.
being sarcastic.
Yeah. Wow. How did we respond? Yeah. I can say this. My husband responded better than I. I had to learn to respond in a way that our kids wouldn't just sort of turn me off and be. And so I learned to go and scream in my car with my radio up or in the shower or cry and say, I don't believe this or whatever. And then to come out and be like, okay.
Right.
Well, let's think about that. And we really tried to respond in a way that, hey, let's look at this as a learning tool. I used to say this to my kids all the time, being a coach, like, hey, let's think about this. If you're always winning and you never make a mistake, guess what? You're not going to learn much. Yes. Because why would you critique yourself and say that I need to change something? But when you lose, that's when we learn. So then we're really critical about ourselves. We're watching film. We're like, oh, I got to work on this piece and I got to work on my dribbling and things like that. Well, that's the same way in life. When you make those mistakes, because we're going to make mistakes. Yes. This perfection thing, that is just garbage. There's no such thing. Progress. That's what we're looking for. And so we used to teach our kids that, yeah, you're making mistakes. I'm not mad at you, but I'm definitely that your action, that's horrible. No, that's not okay. Look, these are the consequences, but let's go back and make sure that you don't make that mistake again.
Right.
And so being able to sit down and do that. And a lot of times our kids were really angry with themselves, upset with themselves because of what that mistake.
Yeah, so they felt it long before you had to.
Yes, and so I had to realize that also. My husband, like I said, he was so even keel.
Yeah.
And that might be because he was a baby of 10. They probably just doted on him. Baby of 10, honey.
Baby of 10.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was just so different with parenting. I learned a lot from him.
Well, it seems like you guys were a great team.
I think we are. I think we really are. And we think completely different. We still completely different.
So you'll come across a situation, you look at it from one angle.
And he comes across looking at it completely different. I'm thinking, what are you thinking about? And he's looking at me like, okay.
That complements each other.
It does. It does.
I love what you said about noticing what your children were experiencing even when they made a mistake too, because their values are so deep rooted and they felt however they felt.
Yeah.
And just noticing that. I don't think all parents do that. I think some parents just go out their kids like, you messed up, you made a mistake, not taking that into account, like as a human being, like not fully formed, but wherever they are in their development.
Yeah. And they're their own person.
They're their own person.
So you're guiding.
We had to learn that though. I'm glad we had that village. People, our mentors to teach us that. Yeah. We had to learn that. That's not easy.
No, it's not easy. For young parents who are listening, I feel like those are some of the things we want to, that kind of wisdom we want to impart on them.
Which leads us to our third point, which is building the community wisdom. So you have served 17 years as a ninth grade dean.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. My girls had you and they loved you.
Loved them to death.
Athletic director and a leader in so many spaces. I mean, you are a captain wherever you go. I can say that. So what have those roles taught you about people?
Wow. That's a great question. I was thinking about that. I love children. I think they're the funniest people on earth. I tell you.
They're the best people
They
on
really
earth.
are. And they're so bright and they have all these different skills that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I need to learn that also. But one thing that I've learned is that I have to lay my biases down and not assume that this is a ninth grader and all ninth graders think the same way and they're the same people. Ninth graders have taught me that, hey, just sit, be quiet and listen and get to know that person. Do not go in there with those preconceived notions of who these teenagers are. I had some teachers that were that way. And it's like, no, I'm not that way. And so I learned that. Okay. I really learned to try to listen to the student. Kids taught me how to love, believe it or not.
Interesting. How so?
Well, as a dean, you're okay, come on into my office and things like that. And a lot of times there's a discipline piece or whatever. But kids, if you listen to them and you hear them say to you like, hey, I really messed up. I'm so sorry. And how can I make it better? They taught me accountability. The next day they'll come up and hug you. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, here, come on, sweetie, let's hug. They just taught me how to love. Yeah. They really did. I love being with kids. I think that's what have kept me young. And they're so insightful.
Yes.
They know a lot. I think a lot of times, I know when I started in education and teaching, you're thinking, oh, I'm teaching them something.
Right.
No, I actually learned a lot from them throughout the
We have
years.
said that over and over. Every day I learn something new in kindergarten. And you're like, they're 5 and 6 years old. And the things that they'll say or their observations,
Yes.
they help me see a different way.
Yes.
Different perspectives.
So much so.
Great.
Yeah.
When you have to have those difficult conversations, especially in your role, well, I'm sure as director of DEIJ as well. I remember as a dean, you had to bring one of my daughters in and she was scared and you came along and it wasn't an easy conversation. I had to go to the board, standards board. But how do you manage those difficult conversations with students and the families?
You know what? I do like to think back of when I was in school and how I felt going in front of people or the dean or the principal calling you in and things like that. And my whole goal is to make sure we have relationships, but those relationships aren't severed.
Okay. Yeah.
Do we make mistakes in relationship? Yeah. How do we can still be bonded and in community together? And so for me to attack somebody or to say, oh, you're bad and things like that, that's just wrong. But I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me. And so I'm always thinking like, these are God's children and all of us are God's children. I'm supposed to show love to you. You can still have a consequence and still do it in love. So then hopefully that person, when they're speaking to someone else, they're going to show that same love.
Yes.
When and that's something we just have to work on because there's times that I might be hungry, I might be tired, and I do want to lash out and things like that. And I just have to okay, come on. Before I go into a lot of my meetings, I pray.
Yes.
Like that it's not me that's showing up, but you, God, that's showing up so that I can show this love so that I don't turn anyone off.
Yes.
Yeah,
I always start my meetings, especially those hard ones. We're like, I don't want to do this. I get to. Start in prayer. Truth with love.
You really have to. And my whole goal is, how do I sit? I do believe our community is a family. This is family. And how can I speak to family where when we walk away, we're still family and I haven't cut anyone, and how do you do that? That's
How do you
hard
do that?
sometimes.
It's hard. It's a very hard. It's a hard calling for sure.
And I think sometimes love is truth and you have to be truthful. And how do you say the truth and tell the truth in hard situations, but then to love them? I think I'm still evolving, trying to.
I think it is an ongoing
it's
process. It never ends.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, let's talk about your current work in DEIJ. So let's first define DEIJ. And then can you talk a little bit about what your role as a director in this space means, what you do, and how you do it?
I don't want people to know that I'm the director of DEIJ because a lot of times when you're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and then justice, especially in our country right now, I think it's dividing our country. And then people then come to you in a conversation that they're defensive. So I always tell people, I'm a school administrator until they keep asking me, then I have to say, But for diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, I always think about, and this might just sound crazy, but I always think about what God commands us to do. He actually tells us that we're to see everyone, we are to help everyone, we're to love everyone. But he also stands on justice. There's a right and a wrong.
Yes.
And to stand for that truth, but in love. And so how do we do that? And so I look at my work that way, that it's not about smashing white people and elevating Black people. A lot of people do believe that I believe everyone in our community, white, brown, whomever, deserves equity. They deserve to be included. They deserve to have what they need to be successful. That is my goal. How do you give people, especially children, adults even, what do you need to be successful? To be who you're supposed to be. I really believe we all have a destiny in our heart and we have these dreams and God has put them there. And how do I give what you need? How do our community, we have wonderful resources. And how do we give those resources to everyone, not to one person?
Yes.
But then when we do make those mistakes, because that justice piece is huge, because if we can't say, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake there, I said that and that's wrong. If we can't say that to each other, then we're not an inclusive community,
Yes.
And so just really look at it that I'm doing God's work. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love on each other.
Absolutely. And you mentioned about biases because we all have them. And I think that when you, like with your work, meeting with somebody and not assuming a thing, one of the things that I love about our school is we always say, don't assume and say, tell me more.
Yes.
And that's how you can really understand that person's perspective and you can share yours as well so that you can understand each other better.
Yes.
So it really is a lifelong journey to discovering who you are. So how do you help someone begin or continue the journey of discovering who they are?
I hope that when I'm with people, I'm authentic. I can be who I am, and I hope that while we're in that conversation, I am being curious. The one thing I love to hear about other people's stories. So I'm hoping that when I'm speaking to you or a student that they know that I see them. Who are you? Tell me who you are. I don't know who you are. Let me know. Like, what happened? What's going on? What are the things that you love? Paying homage to that person, that human being. And hopefully we're teaching not just students, but faculty to, hey, get to know who you are.
Yes.
And it's okay. And let's value who you are.
Yes. Yeah.
We might have to give you some words to put together about who you are, some values like, hey, the reason we value this is because of this. We might have to teach empathy, compassion, That's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
You know, some people don't know that just yet. That's okay. No big deal. But I'm always thinking about progress. How are we all progressing as a community
Yes.
towards the same thing, that
Yes.
everyone feels like a community, and what that looks like?
At times it can be messy. It's not easy.
Very messy.
But to have that opening, and I think always it's good to have those prompts. I love when we have the turn and talk, because sometimes you have never thought about it. So even to say, hey, take a moment around people sitting next to you, talk about what does empathy mean to you? Or what does it mean to not feel included? Just bringing it to the forefront and talking about it.
And in terms, like working with the students in terms of them honoring and understanding their own identity and the identity stories of other people, how does that happen? Intentionally, how does it happen?
Yeah, I think we do a good job with educating our kids in that way, that we have human development classes starting in kindergarten, going all the way to 12th grade. We've hit different grade levels and things like that. And there's an identity piece. And hopefully we're teaching kids to, one, figure out who you are and to love on yourself, but then to love on others and celebrate others. So we have to teach that. And hopefully, I also think when kids are walking into classrooms, teachers see them. I hear students talk all the time about, boy, I just love this teacher because I know she sees me and we can talk and I can be honest. I can be who I am. And so I love that. Is it hard? Yes, because of the outside world, that they're saying things that are against what we believe, our values, where we work. And so then that's hard to hey, you guys, I need you to stay focused. You are important. And so I think education comes into it. We're not just educating students, we're educating faculty, staff, everybody that comes into our community, parents. Our parents are a big part of our community. So let's educate them on that. It's okay for someone to be different, someone to not look like you, be like you. That's okay. We want that because I'm going to learn from that person.
Absolutely. What does it look like when a young person begins to understand themselves more fully? That's a kind of a loaded question.
I love that. I love that. I love all, I call it sass. I love that. When you understand your gifts and you understand who you are, you can just see it. There's confidence. But then there's also leadership where you can see. I'm working with the 12th graders now, what we call the program that we're doing, the Student Summit. So the 12th graders at their orientation at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go up. I'm going to ask them anyway, because they're like the leaders of our school. And I want you guys to make a presentation that you can teach the 9th through 11th grade students. And that's what you guys are doing. Those 12th graders were like, yeah. You can just see the leadership.
Yes.
And how I want to help someone because I didn't have it. I want peers to talk to peers and you want them to have that agency.
Yes.
You see agency. You see them standing up for social justice. You see them standing up for their values that they think are right.
Yes.
Oh, that's what you see. You see kids changing the world.
And that opportunity you're giving them too, to say, hey, you're the seniors. Let's do this.
Yes. And so I'm excited about that.
Is this new this year?
No, this is our second year.
Oh, nice.
Our second year. And so I know they've come together and they have some wonderful things to teach. And so that's what we see, leadership and confidence.
You pour so much into everyone. And we'll just sum it up. But what helps you, Toya? What helps you stay grounded?
Wow. That's a great question. So the one thing that I can say is that my relationship with Christ, I'm in that word all the time, just trying to read up on how I can be a better person, a human being, and there's just a lot of things I don't know. And I just want to be the best I can be. But relationships with others, that is huge for me. I just want to talk to, and I want to laugh with people and I want to cry with them. And I want to hear about their favorite dish that they can make or their favorite, their favorite vacation, just being with people in community.
Yep.
That is huge for me. I play sports not because I thought I was any good at it, but it was because it was community.
Well, clearly you were good at sports.
Well, I have built-in friends. Hey, we're on the same team. Guess what? Gotta like me. Get over it. And we're going to just all love each other.
Oh, gosh.
That's what's saying. And then my family.
Yes.
And seeing my kids as they're struggling through some things, seeing them work through.
Yes.
And I'd love to see them parent my grandchildren. And I love my grandchildren being who they are. It is so hilarious to see that I have these strong-willed grandchildren. And I'm like, go ahead, give it to them, babies.
It's not by accident.
Not by accident.
Not by
And so
accident.
to see all that, to love, to be with family, and I believe everybody's my family. So
Yeah, I think that's
We
beautiful.
feel that from you. You have so much wisdom. If you were to impart that on, students and parents and teachers, what do you want us to all walk away with today? Toya's words of wisdom.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
I want us to go at relationships, I think, with that foundation or that base that human life is important. Let's just be centered there, that all human life is important. But I want us all to go, as we're talking about relationships or people we don't even know, let's be curious before we judge. Let's not judge.
Yes.
Let's just be curious and get to truly get to know that person. But then I always think about an action. Let's think about, how can I make their life better or someone else's? I don't even need to know them. How can I make their life better? What can I do to change this world so that inherently we have what we all need to be successful, to thrive, to get out there so that they can then teach someone? What are those things we can do?
What can we do? Well, this conversation reminds us that identity isn't something that we arrive at one day. It's not like, I finished this course, we're done. No, It's something we constantly keep discovering.
It shapes us through reflection, family, and community.
Yes.
We've heard that all today. We like to give our listeners some optional homework, perhaps.
I love it.
So
It's always optional.
So this is an idea. This week, take a moment to really listen to someone whose story is different from yours. Be curious.
And ask yourself, what might I learn if I see through their eyes? So let's talk about our big little lesson, Kristine.
Yes.
I know, I'm so full.
I'm so full.
I already know I'm going to listen to this podcast a few times because there's so many gems in there. What's your takeaway?
Well, when we talk about the big little lesson, I like to think about, it's the title of our podcast, obviously, because it starts when you're little, right? So what is it that starts when you're little, that grows with you and stays with you and remains with you as you grow? And you said so many things, but I love the idea of curiosity, because 5 and 6-year-olds are endlessly curious, and to be able to hold on to that curiosity throughout your lifetime, what it can bring you is a beautiful thing. I could go in a lot of different directions. I'm going to leave it with that one.
Be curious.
Be curious.
Yes.
What would you say?
I love be curious. I agree with you. And I would also say to be grounded in taking a moment in your faith. And for me as a Christian, it's really important. And so you've ministered to me in so many ways. But I find that grounding that you did with your family is huge. To leave a prayer list out, to put it out there and know that God's got a plan for you, and that whatever challenges you have, bring it to faith will help you get to the next step. And no matter what the outcome, your identity is not in one role. We are God's children, and to treat and to love others, of course. So,
Oh, Toya, goodness gracious. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your honesty and your beautiful heart.
it was such a joy to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm just honored and humbled that I get to chit chat with my friends.
Well, I'm honored and humbled too.
No kidding.
It was wonderful.
So thank you for inviting me.
So we like to say we might not have all the answers.
Yeah, but we have a lot of experience.
we do.
So until next time.
See you next time on Big Little Lessons.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.